Hi there, and welcome to Module 3, which is focused on using data for decision making. As an instructional leader, which is what the script says, and I know that you might have trouble thinking of yourselves as instructional leaders. You're not building administrators or anything like that, but teachers can be leaders in instruction. Teachers can be a driving force behind effective pedagogy in buildings just by the attitude they take to that. And by their attitude also toward the use of data to drive instructional practice, which is also something this unit kind of talks about. So in that role, you will have access to a lot of data sources. As a result, it is important for building administrators first, but also again for teachers to collect, analyze, and take action based on data. Facts are our friends. Sometimes in education we don't always want to travel down the road the facts take us to, but facts are our friends. And so the more that you know about what your students are learning, how they're learning, the better you will be able to make decisions based on that data to drive your curriculum. So again, all this stuff kind of ties together. How do you know that your curriculum is effective? Well, you got to take a look at the results. And if the results aren't there, collectively across the board, if one student is falling behind or a couple of students in your class are falling behind, that's probably not on you, as an educator. There are probably other contextual factors in those students' lives that are taking them in those directions. But if the bulk of your class is, behind, they're not picking up what you're putting down, that's probably on you, and maybe more specifically how the curriculum is lined up, how you're choosing to disseminate the curriculum. So all that stuff ties together, and it's important to be active in data collection, even just informally in a classroom, and it's important to act on it. So be active and then act on the data that you receive, that you collect. Okay, so module objectives. First one, you'll be able to examine the role of collecting and analyzing data to improve teaching and learning. And the second one is you'll be able to explain the importance of progress monitoring to improve teaching and learning. Progress monitoring is a fuddy-duddy sounding thing, but it's basically taking a look at how your students are progressing through what you're trying to teach them. And again, if it's not going well collectively across the board, then that probably speaks to either your curriculum, your pedagogy, the way that you're disseminating it, and those are things worth taking a look at. It doesn't mean you're a bad teacher, it just means that you might need to change your practice a little bit, and that's important to differentiate between those two things. The only way that you can be a bad teacher is if you never ever change your practice. If you're willing to change your practice, then what that means is that you can be an effective educator. There are 2 assignments for Module 3. One is the discussion assignment, and again, I think I've cleaned up the language in that to make it more friendly for your own situations. If you're finding that it's not user-friendly in how you feel like you need to respond to things as an educator, just talk to me and we'll figure that out for you individually. I will say that I forgot to open one of the modules earlier, and now there's a module open that essentially I think it's called Student Resources, and in that module are Missouri Educator Standards. And so I'm going to ask you to start looking at the Missouri Educator Standards to do some reflection on the discussion and the assignments and the prompts inside those things, because it's important to know, again, what standards you're being held to as an educator in the gigs that you have. Okay, so 2 assignments. First one's the discussion. Remember that your initial post is due by Wednesday of the week, and then you're going to respond to 2 classmates' posts by Sunday. That's pretty commonplace across all of these online courses for our education department. Okay, so then the second assignment is it's a project based on the walkthrough data collected in Module 2, with this caveat. So you only do the main assignment in Module 3 if you were able to do the main assignment in Module 2. If you did the alternative assignment in Module 2 by necessity, then you'll also do the alternative assignment in Module 3. They're related to each other. In both assignments, you're going to create a school improvement plan related to data and curriculum in your school. but the pathways that you're going to take are pretty set. So again, if you were able to do the full walkthrough in Module 2, you'll do the full assignment or the main assignment in Module 2. If you had to do the alternative assignment, which I assume is probably all of you, but just in case, if you did the alternative assignment in Module 2, you'll do the alternative assignment in Module 3. And those are the two assignments, the discussion and then one of the two main assignments, either the main one or the alternative. It's in order to effectively master the objectives, it is critical that you begin to think as an educational leader. And again, educational leader does not necessarily mean administrator. Educational leader can mean teacher leader. And you guys are gung-ho enough in the realm of education that you are already in your buildings teacher leaders. You may not realize it, but I guarantee you that you are, just because of the nature of the way that you came into education. You're gung-ho for it, and you are then, by extension, teacher leaders. So it's critical that you kind of embrace that role, and you focus on growing as an educator through what data reveals. That's really important. Again, data is our friend, facts are our friends. The only way that we become, negative educators from a curricular standpoint is if you never travel where the data takes you. And sometimes that means, throwing stuff out that you really like, but it's not working. And ultimately what you're doing as an educator isn't just pontificating on stuff, it's teaching. And if your students aren't learning from what you're teaching, then you need to kind of change your practice. And that's related to this idea of curriculum as well. And again, doing that will be of ultimate benefit to your students. And I guess I said ultimately what you're responsible for is teaching, but really in the end, what everything comes down to is student learning. So keep that in mind as you go through this module and all the modules in this class. How is curriculum connected to the idea of student learning? As always, if you need to get a hold of me, it's dimmitt@nwmissouri.edu. Probably easier to go through Canvas and the email on that way, or you can text me 660-254-4424. Thanks a lot for being in the class once again, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with all of you. Take care.